Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams happening in February 2026. My name is Nicholas and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. First things first, I'm going to share some insights about the technicalities behind this examination. For most of you, this might be your first CIMA case study. And if so, it's essential that you gain an understanding of what this examination is all about and how you should conduct your preparations. And with this in mind, I will also direct your attention towards an 8-week study plan. And if you stick to the study plan, you can pace your preparations in a stress-free environment and make sure that you go through all mock exams and also have enough time to conduct your revision based on the same mock exams. And since we missed last week's session, I was supposed to conduct this webinar last week, but one of my kids fell sick. Because of that, I had to cancel last week's webinar. So in this, as per our initial plan, in this week, I was supposed to conduct a pre-scene analysis. So since I missed out on previous week's webinar, I'm going to cover both these two elements, webinar 1 and webinar 2's elements in this session. So that's why I'm going to conduct a pre-scene analysis. I'm not going to take a lot of your time when conducting this pre-scene analysis because I've already conducted a pre-scene analysis in November. It's the same thing. So you can go watch the recorded version, which is accessible via YouTube and the student dashboard if you need in-depth insights about how to approach the pre-scene. However, in order to make sure that you gain an understanding of how to use the pre-scene and gain a good understanding of what your company and the industry is telling us about, I will be conducting a pre-scene analysis, a summarized version towards the very end of today's session. So before we get into the technicalities, let me quickly remind you of the upcoming webinars and workshops we have scheduled for you. So next Saturday, we are conducting an answering technique webinar in which I'm going to teach you how to develop your answers, how to structure your answers. And at the same time, I will be teaching you time management techniques as well. So this is one of the most important webinars because in order to pass this examination, it's essential that you understand how you should structure your answers, and therefore, if you structure your answers properly, you'd know how to manage your time effectively as well. Because take it from me, most students end up failing this examination due to them running out of time. So if you do not know how to manage your time, you are going to be in trouble. That's why it's essential that you attend next week's webinar to learn crucial answering and time management techniques. And in the fourth webinar, I will be teaching you stress management techniques. So it's essential that you know how to manage stress levels at this examination. If you are repeating the SCS exam, you know what I'm talking about, because some students struggle a lot due to being exposed to undue levels of stress at the examination. It's a tough situation when you have to sit in one place 3 hours, and when you have to keep repeating answering and time management techniques over and over across 3 sections. This is not easy. So in this exam, the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge as well as application skills. The examiner is also testing whether you are capable of managing stressful situations. So that's why I'm teaching you these crucial stress management techniques on the 3rd of January, which is a Saturday. And also in the same webinar, I will be taking you through examiner's comments, thereby highlighting what the examiner has highlighted within the exam blueprint. And then when we are done with the webinar series, we are kickstarting our workshop series. And in each workshop, I'm going to take you through each pillar, F3, P3, and E3. And at the same time, I'm going to conduct a masterclass concerning a question which is tied to each syllabus area. And I will be conducting Q&As in each of these workshops as well. So as per our study plan, when we are kickstarting our workshops, you should be done with at least 2 mock exams. Definitely, you will have questions on a weekly basis. So this is the best way to get them answered when you attend these workshops and masterclasses on a weekly basis. And once you are done with our masterclasses and workshops, then I will be conducting the final workshop, which happens 2 or 3 days before your examination. And in this workshop, I'm going to share last minute tips with you to make sure that you are capable of walking into the exam with a high level of positivity. So make use of these free resources on offer. Get in touch with us on a weekly basis so that you are in a position to get all your questions addressed. And at the same time, this is the best way to keep tabs about your performance on a weekly basis. All right, then let's try to understand what this examination is all about. So first things first, let's understand how students land at the strategic case study examination. So there are a minority of students who are coming through the CIMA general route. So these type of students have completed their operational and management case study examinations. Therefore, they have a good understanding of how case study exams work at CIMA. And at the same time, since these students are coming through the general route, they have completed their E3, F3, and P3 OTQ examinations. So since they have completed their OTQ exams, they have an in-depth understanding of all conceptual elements which are tested at the SCS exam. So if you are one such student who's coming through the general route, this exam is going to be a walk in the park. Why am I saying it? Because you know how these type of case studies work, and at the same time you have learned all conceptual elements. So when conducting your preparations, it's simply a matter of having to brush up your application skills. Since you have mastered OCS and MCS, you can easily figure out application at this stage. So if you are coming through the general route, you are not going to struggle a lot with this examination because you have learned your theory, and by now you know how you should improve your application skills. You can handle all these things on your own. However, if you are coming through an exemption route, such as the CGMA route, C-Suite, or the FLP, or the Finance Leadership Program, you are going to struggle a bit with this exam. However, do not worry. We have developed some additional resources primarily focused on those who are coming through exemptions, with the intention of making sure that you have a chance of learning all conceptual elements covered within E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. And at the same time, you know how to deal with application, because this exam is an application-heavy examination. So both these sets of students, if you are coming through the general route or if you are coming through an exemption route, you need not worry. We have come up with study resources based on your needs and capabilities. And if you stick to our study plan, you can make sure that you achieve everything which is necessary to pass this examination. And looking at your examination, this is a PC-based exam, and the total time allocation for the entire paper is 3 hours, and your paper is divided into 3 main sections or 3 main tasks. And the time allocation on each section or each task is 60 minutes or 1 hour. So let me quickly show you what your typical paper looks like. So you'd see that, as I mentioned earlier, each paper carries 3 main parts, 3 sections, and the time allocation is 60 minutes. And in each section, you will see 2 or 3 subtasks. So if you look at this mock paper which we have developed, so this is our mock number 1. In each section, there are 3 subtasks, but at your examination, in certain sections, you will see just 2 subtasks. And you can see some weightages in here as well, which give us an indication of how many marks are dedicated for each and every subtask. So you'd understand how to deal with these weightages, and based on that, how to determine mark allocations, and based on these mark allocations, how to determine how many points you need to include in each of your answers in next week's webinar, when I'm teaching you answering and time management techniques. So for now, let's look at how your paper is structured. So we are in section number 1. It's as if you are receiving an email from your finance director. So your role is that of a senior finance manager who is directly reporting to board members, directly reporting to the finance director of your chosen company. So you are involved with long-term decision making. You are rubbing shoulders with those who are at the strategic level of your chosen company. So you are receiving an email, and you'd see a subject which gives you an indication of what this scenario or this section is all about. So you'd see some information. which builds up the scenario. And then you will see some bullet points, and in each bullet point, you'd see the question or the requirement. And at the end of each requirement, as I mentioned earlier, there's a weightage which give you an indication of marks dedicated for each and every subtask. So that's exactly what you can see in here. This is the second subtask, and this is the third subtask. So on top of all this information, you will see some type of additional information shared with you via reference material. So the examiner in this exam tries to replicate a real life corporate environment. So in a real life corporate environment, just think about what you do at office. So you will receive an email with some information contained within this email, and you will clearly see what you are supposed to achieve because it will be mentioned in the email. And on top of that, as and when necessary, additional information will be shared with you via attachments. So that's the same methodology the CIMA examiner tries to create within this examination as well. So there is a scenario. You can see it in here. There's a scenario and certain requirements aligned with this scenario, and you will get some additional information via reference material. So you need to consider all these information before you start to develop your answers. So this is how section 1 is structured. Then let's look at section number 2. The finance director stops at a workstation and hands over a document. So there's a small scenario with 3 different requirements. And as I mentioned earlier, some additional information is shared with you via reference material. And in section number 3, a month later, you receive the following email from the finance director, and the finance director, is saying something to you. So there's a scenario with some requirements, and at the same time, a quotation is shared with you via the reference material. So this is how your knowledge is tested. As you can see, your knowledge is tested in a practical manner because, as I mentioned earlier, in these case study exams, the examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment to see whether you are in a position to utilize the knowledge which you have gained via your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi in a practical manner. Because in this day and age, we do not need employees or decision makers who are well versed with theory. Instead, we should make sure to recruit individuals who are well versed with utilizing the knowledge which we have gained via various different academic and professional qualifications and come up with the best type of decisions when they are operating within a company. So this is the same logic the examiner, the CIMA examiner carries as well, because the CIMA examiner wants to make sure that you are capable of, utilizing the knowledge which we have gained via your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi, and you are in a position to use this knowledge in the most practical manner, therefore being in a position to come up with the best type of recommendations and conduct the best type of evaluations. So this is how your knowledge is tested. And looking at how you should provide your answers should be in paragraph form. So this is the suggested answer which I've developed for section number 1. As you can see, the entire answer is in paragraph form. You can't see any bullet points or single line sentences because the examiner specifically mentions the fact that you are not supposed to provide answers in bullet points or single line sentences. Instead, per answer point, you are supposed to develop a paragraph which consists of 2 to 4 line sentences. I'm going to explain all these things in depth in next week's webinar when I'm teaching you the answering technique. So for now, simply try to gain an understanding of how your answers should look like. So as you can see, the entire answer is in paragraph form. And in order to develop these type of answers, first things first, you need to spend some time to plan out your answer or structure your answer. So you need to develop something called an answer plan. So this is the answer plan which I've developed for the same mock exam 1. As you can see, when you go through this answer plan, you can easily see how the entire answer is structured. what type of points I've included in the answer. So you need to do something similar when attempting each mock exam under exam conditions. I'm going to teach you how to develop answer plans in next week's webinar. So for now, simply, try to gain an understanding of what answer plans look like or answer structures look like. So you are supposed to spend some time to plan out your answer in bullet points, thereby structuring your answer. Once you have an answer structure or an answer plan at your disposal, then your next step should be to expand each point in paragraph form. So if there are 7 valid points within a certain section or within a certain subtask, then in your final answer, there should be 7 different paragraphs. So this is what your final answer should look like. But when it comes to planning, come up with bullet points, keep it short, structure your answer, think about the logic of your answer when it comes to planning your answer, and always try to figure out, whilst developing this answer plan, figure out whether you are developing an answer which is aligned with the requirement. So when you cover all planning elements, then you should dedicate the final minutes of each section towards expanding the answer plan in paragraph form. So if you intended to include 10 valid points in the answer plan, then in your final answer, there should be 10 different paragraphs. So you are going to learn all these things in next week's webinar when I'm teaching you answering and time management technique. All right, so this is how your entire paper is structured, and you know how you should develop your answers. And you are scored out of 150, so you need to score 80 marks to pass, or as a percentage, you need to score 54% to pass this examination. So you need not get everything right. Even if you screw up half your paper, you still can pass this examination if you stick to our study plan and practice your answering, time management and stress management techniques under exam conditions, and take time to conduct your revision appropriately. Because if you improve this skill set, if you take steps to improve your knowledge levels, you are not going to struggle at your real examination. So these are the technicalities behind your exam. And then let's look at what your role is. So as I mentioned earlier, you are supposed to play the role of a senior finance manager, and you are directly reporting to your superior, who is your finance director. So as I mentioned earlier, you are rubbing shoulders with decision makers of your organization, or those who are at the strategic level of your chosen company. So if you look at a typical or a basic organizational structure, you would see that the board of directors sit at the strategic level. So these are the individuals who are involved with long-term decision making. So they are thinking in terms of how we are supposed to run the company in the next year, in the next 3 years, 5 years, and whatnot. So these guys, as the name suggests, they are involved with strategy formulation. So strategy formulation is about developing long-term plans concerning your chosen company. And at the very lowest level, you'd see operational level employees. So these are the type of employees who are involved with implementing the decisions which are taken by board members or those who are at the strategic level. So in order to make sure that the operational level employees are implementing these decisions in the most successful manner, you'd see the middle management or the management level employees, which creates the link between the decision makers and implementers. So the management employees are supposed to keep tabs about whether the operational level employees are doing their job properly. If there are any hiccups, the management level employees are supposed to inform those who are at the board level about any type of shortcomings, so that as and when necessary, the board members can change the plans if we are experiencing some type of hiccups when it comes to implementing them. So you are reporting to those who are at the strategic level. So you need to think about the long run success of your company whenever you are evaluating something and whenever you are coming up with recommendations. So at this stage, at the SCS stage, a higher level of application and practical thinking is expected. So your answers should be highly practical, your evaluations should be highly practical. So even if you are not too conversant with all conceptual elements, if you are a practical decision maker, you can pass this exam. However, let's not take a chance. Let's not test our luck at the exam. It's best that you are conversant with how each syllabus area is tested when conducting your preparations. Then, if you know how each syllabus area is tested, you would be successful at your real examination. So theories are tested. You need to know your theories. And it's not about explaining conceptual elements at this stage. Instead, it is all about utilizing this conceptual knowledge which you have learned via your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi and applying it in a practical manner whenever you are suggesting a recommendation or whenever you are conducting an evaluation. For instance, considering a question tied to evaluation, you are supposed to evaluate a certain strategic option. So as you know, as you have learned via your E3 syllabus, whenever you are evaluating a strategic option, you are supposed to utilize the SA framework or the suitability, acceptability, and the feasibility framework. So under suitability, you are supposed to consider whether a certain strategic option is aligned with the vision, mission, and values of your chosen company as well as the business model. And under acceptability, you are supposed to consider how this strategic option is going to impact the main stakeholders of your chosen company. And under feasibility, you have to look at financial and non-financial feasibility. Therefore, you are supposed to consider whether we are in a position to implement this strategic option without any hiccups, considering our cash flow situation as well as considering our resource availability. So that is what the SA framework is all about. However, simply by explaining the SA framework, you are not going to get any marks at your examination. Instead, whenever you are evaluating a strategic option, for instance, you are supposed to utilize the SA framework, but when utilizing the SA framework, you have to do it in a practical manner. So it's not about explaining conceptual elements. Instead, it's all about utilizing the knowledge which you have gained via conceptual elements and applying it in a practical manner when developing your answers. So you are going to learn these things in depth in next week's webinar, because when teaching you answering technique, I'm going to explain how you should approach various different conceptual elements, and then considering these knowledge areas, how you should structure your answers effectively. So you have to think like a board member at this stage. So your application skills are heavily tested at this examination. 85% of the questions will be testing your practical application and decision-making capabilities. That's your role. Then let's look at how this examination is structured. So information is provided about a fictitious company in advance via something called a pre-scene document. So since the same pre-scene is applicable in both November 2025 and February 2026 exams, I'm pretty sure you should have gone through the pre-scene by now. So this time's pre-scene is based on a company which is known as Cumulator. And I'm going to conduct a simple summarized pre-scene analysis towards the very end of this webinar. For now, let's try to understand what is contained within your pre-scene document. So there's an introduction, which gives you an indication of what your role is and who you are reporting to, and in which country your chosen company is located at, its currency and whatnot, and what type of a market we operate in at the moment. And there's an indication about electric cars. So industry specific information is shared with you, because as a senior finance manager, whenever you are involved with decision making, whenever you are conducting evaluations, you should not simply look at the internal dynamics of your chosen company. Instead, you should consider what happens within your industry, because board members are supposed to adopt something called an outside-in approach when it comes to decision making. So before finalizing decisions, first things first, board members are supposed to think about how their decisions are going to impact various different stakeholders, and whether their decisions align with the industry dynamics or the current industry dynamics. So that's why they should adopt something called an outside-in approach. They have to first things first think about the fit in terms of the strategic fit in terms of the industry dynamics, stakeholders, and then think about how these decisions are going to change the internal dynamics of the chosen company. So that's why at the very beginning of the pre-scene analysis, you'd see industry specific information. And then once the industry specific information is done, you'd see that the examiner is directing your attention towards your chosen company, which is Cumulator, which is a battery electric vehicle manufacturer or a BEV manufacturer. And after giving you some type of an insight about the history of your company, then the examiner is directing your attention towards what is contained within the annual report, thereby directing your attention towards the mission, vision, and values. So as a decision maker who is thinking about the long run success of your chosen company, you are supposed to know the mission, vision, and values, because whenever you are arriving at a decision, you should see or understand whether your decisions are aligned with the current way of doing things. So your decisions should be aligned with the mission, vision, and values of your chosen company. And then you should also know about the board of directors, what type of directors are there within your company, what their skills and capabilities are, any type of shortcomings in the way in which we have determined the board composition. For instance, if you go through this document, the pre-scene, you would have, if you had gone through this pre-scene, you would have realized the fact that there is no IT or IS director. We are into manufacturing battery electric vehicles. There's a lot of automation within our company. So if there's automation, we should rely on systems. So when we are relying on systems, it's essential that there's somebody within our board who is skilled and capable of providing strategic leadership to IT and IS, which cannot be seen within our existing board. So you need to know the positives of the way in which we have developed the board of the company, and if there are any shortcomings, you should have the ability to spot them as well. And also, the examiner shares some information about the risks of your company by sharing the principal risks report or the risk register. So in this document, 6 different risks have been identified, and you should have the capability of identifying whether the mitigatory strategies adopted by the company to manage these 6 different risks are appropriate or not. If there are enhancements needed, you should have the capability of suggesting enhancements. And on top of that, you should have the capability to understand whether there are any shortcomings considering the principal risk report, because I feel that all risks are not considered within the existing risk register of Cumulator. I'm going to explain these things in a little while when I'm conducting the pre-scene analysis. And also, information concerning financial statements are shared with you. So you have access to the statement of financial position of your chosen company or the balance sheet, the statement of profit and loss, and the statement of changes in equity. So as a senior finance manager, you are reporting to the finance director, you are operating within the finance department. So it's essential that you gain an in-depth understanding about the numbers contained within your financial statements. So not just your Cumulator's financial statements are shared with you, your closest competitors' financial statements are shared, given the fact that as a decision maker at this stage, when we are reporting to board members, you are not supposed to only look at the internal dynamics of your own company. Instead, you have to have a good understanding of what the competitors are up to as well. That is why the financial statements of your own company and your closest competitor are shared with you. And on top of that, you'd see an extract taken from the sustainability report. So similar to how you should approach the risk report, you should gain an understanding of whether we have implemented appropriate sustainability related initiatives within the company, whether there are any shortcomings, whether we can enhance the current way of doing things in terms of achieving real sustainability in the future. So you have to think in a logical manner. And on top of that, there's an indication about the share price history and the beta of your chosen company. So all these things give us an indication of the risk profile of our company, and based on it, the share price movements, because there's a connection between share price movements and beta as per what we have learned under your F3 syllabus. And at the very end, various different news stories taken from journals as well as news articles are shared with you. And based on these stories or news articles, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real exam. So as you know, the examiner develops 6 different variants focused on each pre-seen document, and each of these 6 variants are developed primarily focused on what's highlighted within these news stories. So these news stories essentially give us hints about what can be tested at your examination. So this is how your pre-seen is structured. So you should know by going through this pre-seen, you will gain an in-depth understanding of your chosen industry, which is the vehicle manufacturing industry. And on top of that, you gain an in-depth understanding of the internal dynamics of your company. You will gain a good understanding of the mission, vision, and values of your chosen company, the board of directors, as well as the risk report, the sustainability report. And on top of that, you are supposed to gain an understanding of what is contained within the financial statements and compare your performance, financial performance, against your closest competitor. And also, you are supposed to gain an understanding of what can be tested at the exam by going through the news stories. And in this exam, you are required to address issues or questions relating to the strategic direction of the company. So you should know what appears within the pre-seen. On top of that, you are supposed to address questions related to the strategic direction of the company. So as a senior finance manager, you are supposed to conduct your own evaluations or come up with recommendations in order to make sure that the company is successful in the long run. So why are these requirements? The examiner is testing your knowledge about the company and the industry. The examiner is trying to figure out that whether you have gained a good understanding about the internals and externals of Cumulator, your chosen company. And at the same time, the examiner is trying to figure out whether you are in a position to apply your knowledge which you have gained via your E3, P3, and F3 syllabi in the most practical manner. Because when operating within a company, if you are playing a senior managerial role, you should know the internals and externals of your chosen company. And at the same time, if you are to come up with the best type of decisions, you should utilize the knowledge which we have gained via E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. So that's the same methodology which is mirrored at this examination. So this examination is quite different to an academic qualification, because as you know, in academic qualifications, it's simply a matter of reiterating theory or explaining conceptual elements. But in here, it's not about explaining theories, instead coming up with practical decisions. And if the marker who is going to mark your paper is satisfied about the way in which you have carried out evaluations and come up with recommendations in the most practical manner, and when conducting evaluations or developing recommendations, if the marker can feel that you have utilized the knowledge which you have gained via your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi, you are going to get extremely good marks at your examination. So this is how your exam is structured. And then let's look at what you are supposed to do in the upcoming weeks. So I've come up with a to-do list. So you have to kickstart your preparations by watching the pre-seen analysis videos, because before you start attempting mock exams, as I mentioned earlier, you need to gain an in-depth understanding of the internals and externals of your chosen company. So with this in mind, we have developed 3 different pre-seen analysis videos. In the first one, we have conducted an industry analysis. And in the second one, we have highlighted about the internals of your chosen company, thereby explaining how this company operates. And in the third and final pre-seen analysis video, we have taken you through the financial statements of your chosen company. So before you kickstart anything, you have to watch the 3 pre-seen analysis videos. Once you have watched these 3 videos, then you have to kickstart your mock focused preparations. So after watching the pre-scene analysis videos, reread the annotated pre-scene on your own, thereby revising your knowledge. And then you have to kickstart your mock attempts. So you are supposed to practice 6 exam standard mock exams under exam conditions. And then you are supposed to attend live webinars and workshops on a weekly basis to make sure that you get all your questions addressed, and at the same time to make sure that you keep tabs about your performance on a weekly basis. And also you are supposed to refer to a set of slides as well, the industry and financial analysis slides. Let me quickly show you what is contained within these slides. So we have developed an analysis considering the financial statements of your own company and its closest competitor. So we have evaluated the statement of profit and loss, and we have made sure to keep things simple so that you can easily gain an understanding of the financial standing of your chosen company. And also, similarly, we have evaluated the statement of financial position and the statement of changes in equity. And most importantly, we have conducted a ratio analysis as well. And again, we have evaluated each ratio in depth, yet making sure to keep things simple so that you can easily understand the financial standing of your own company against its closest competitor. And we have also developed a set of industry analysis slides, and the slides are divided into 4 main parts. So in the first part, we have defined what your industry is all about. And in the second part, we have explained about the type of competitors within a typical industry. And then we have also highlighted as the third part, the industry trends. And based on these industry trends, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real exam. And at the very end, we have considered 2 real life companies and explained how 2 real life companies operate within your chosen industry. So you have to go through these slides on your own, and also go through the top 20 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable syllabus areas or conceptual elements which are tested at your exam. And also, as and when necessary, go through the theory recap slides after attempting each mock exam. If you feel that you had forgotten a certain conceptual element, do not refer back to your bulky study texts or your old notes. You do not have time to waste. Instead, simply refer to the theory recaps. In a jiffy, you are in a position to brush up your knowledge concerning your concerning what's covered under each syllabus pillar. And also, you are supposed to watch 15 pre-recorded masterclasses, especially if you are coming through an exemption route. These masterclasses are intended for you. So in each masterclass, we are explaining the logic behind each answer. After explaining the logic behind each answer, we are also teaching you the theoretical concept covered within each of the sections. And whilst teaching you the relevant theoretical concept, we are also teaching you how to apply these theoretical concepts in the most practical manner. So this is the best way to learn the logic behind each answer, learn concepts, and at the same time learn application skills by watching one single video. So you need not try and figure out how you should structure your answers. You need not learn theory on your own and then try to figure out application on your own. Everything is covered within these masterclasses. And also, you are supposed to refer to the answer plans of mocks 1 to 6. You saw what an answer plan looks like. So when conducting revision, you are supposed to replicate these answer plans. I'm going to explain how you should do it in depth in next week's webinar. And in today's webinar, whilst taking you through the answer plan, whilst taking you through the study plan, I'm going to explain how you should conduct revision. So having access to these answer plans and taking steps to redevelop answer plans is crucial to make sure that you significantly test your knowledge and improve your theory and application skills. And also, we offer personalized tutor feedback focused on mocks 3 and 5. So this is the type of feedback on offer at TCS. So as you can see, we have evaluated each and every point in depth to make sure that you understand what your shortcomings are, because when you understand your shortcomings, then when conducting revision, you can take steps to overcome them. So it's essential that you understand your shortcomings and take steps to avoid these shortcomings when conducting revision. If you do so, you will avoid all types of pitfalls at your real examination. So this is the type of feedback on offer. And at the very end, we have indicated mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis. And also we have indicated the success rates on a subtask by subtask basis as well. By looking at the yellow highlighted subtasks, you can easily figure out the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. So based on these yellow highlighted subtasks, you are supposed to conduct your revision by redeveloping answer plans. All right, so you have to do all these things in the upcoming weeks if you are to be comfortable at your real examination. So don't worry, there's a lot to be done. Yes, I agree with you, but don't worry. If you stick to our study plan, you are in a position to cover all these elements without any hiccups in a stress-free environment. So important dates are exam entry focused on the February sitting closes on the 3rd of February 2026. So if you're planning to sit for the SCS exams happening in Feb, you have to book your position before the 3rd of February. Although the exam entry closes on the 3rd of February, if you have already taken the decision to sit for the exams happening in Feb, book your exam right now, because if you wait until the last moment, you will run out of slots. And when you run out of slots, sometimes you might not be able to book your exam. And at the same time, when all the slots are booked, you might have to do your exam early in the morning at about 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., which is not the best, time to attempt an exam such as SCS, which is a tough examination. So in order to avoid disappointments, if you have already made up your mind to sit in Feb, book your exam right now. And if you book your exam right now, you will stick to the study plan. Because if you wait until the last moment to book, and if you feel that you are ill-prepared, you will postpone your sitting to May. And in May, you will do the same thing. And then you try to do the exam in August. So there's absolutely no point of postponing. You have to pass right now, because in May 2026, your syllabus is going to change. So it's best that you do everything under your capability to finish off SCS in this sitting, because if you don't do so, you will have to go through some additional burdens, given the fact that some add-ons are going to come into play in May 2026. So book your position right now. If you do so, you will commit to the study plan. And the exam dates are from the 18th to the 20th of February 2026. Okay, so having said that, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS before I take you to the study plan and conduct a pre-scene analysis. So I'm on the SCS page. If you are yet to create a free user account, click on this button and create a free user account. And once you have done so, you would gain access to our student dashboard. And once you are in the student dashboard, click on My Courses. In front of SCS Free, you'd see an Access Content button. Click on it. Then you'd gain access to the free resources, which contains the recorded versions of the webinars and workshops we conduct on a weekly basis. You also have access to the masterclass of Mock 2 Section 2. And under study material, you'd gain access to the pre-scene mind map and the answer plan of Mock Exam 1. Under the Mocks tab, you'd gain access to the questions and suggested answers of Mock Exam 1 free of charge. And under the Exams tab, you have the opportunity of attempting Mock Exam 1 under exam conditions via TCS's exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system on which you'd attempt your real examination. So you can test your answering time management and stress management techniques under exam conditions if you attempt mock number 1. So don't attempt it right now. Wait until we are done with next week's webinar. Wait until you learn answering and time management techniques. Once you have learned these things, then you can kickstart your mock attempts next week onwards. So all these resources are provided free of charge under our free category. And also, if you are interested in investing on our paid content, click on this button and check the sample material before you do so. And if you are yet to join our SCS WhatsApp discussion forum, click on this button and join it. Via this group, you'd benefit from hordes of free resources, and at the same time, we will keep you guys informed of the weekly webinars and workshops, the commencement dates and times. And at the same time, whenever you have any type of question, I'm always there to address all your questions and concerns via this WhatsApp group. So if you're yet to join it, please join the group by clicking on this button. And talking about what we offer two packages, the essential course and the premium course. The essential course is designed for those who are coming through the general route. So as I mentioned earlier, if you're coming through the general route, you know how these exams work. You have already learned your theory. So it's simply a matter of improving your application skills, which you can figure out on your own. So under the essential course, you would gain access to the recordings of all weekly webinars and workshops, 6 mock exams with suggested answers. Not just 6, we have also included an additional mock exam. So you have access to 7 mock exams this time. And when developing these 7 mock exams, we have made sure to cover all syllabus areas so that you are not testing your luck at your real examination. So if you had gone through past exam variants or past papers, you would have seen that the examiner developed 6 different variants focused on each pre-scene. So replicating the same methodology, we have developed 7 different variants or 7 different mock exams. And within these 7 different mock exams, you'd see 63 subtasks being covered. And across these 63 subtasks, we have made sure to cover all syllabus areas which are contained within your E3, F3, and P3 syllabi. You'd also gain access to the pre-scene analysis videos, the annotated pre-scene and industry and financial analysis slides. You are going to see what the annotated pre-scene looks like in a little while when I'm conducting the pre-scene analysis session. You saw, I took you through the industry and financial analysis slides, and you'd also gain access to the top 20 likely issues slides and the case study familiarization kit. Once you have gone through this familiarization kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you will gain an in-depth understanding of the technicalities behind your exam. You will also gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you cannot clearly remember a certain conceptual element, simply refer to these OTQ revision cards to brush up your knowledge in a jiffy. So the essential course is priced at £299. And talking about the premium course, this is designed for those who are coming through the exemption routes and those who had failed the exam previously. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So with the intention of teaching you all conceptual elements, and at the same time, with the intention of ensuring that you learn application skills, we have included some additional resources under the premium course on top of what appears within your essential course. So under premium, you'd gain access to the online mock exam platform, via which you can attempt each of our mock exams under exam conditions, which is the best way to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. And you'd also gain access to answer plans of all 7 mock exams. Then you can easily figure out how you should structure your answers, how we should approach each theoretical concept, and how we should approach application. And also you'd gain access to 15 masterclasses in total. And as I mentioned earlier, in each masterclass, whilst taking you through the logic of each answer, we are teaching you the conceptual elements covered, and at the same time, we are teaching you application. And also you will benefit from one-on-one tutor feedback provided on mocks 3 and 5. You saw the type of feedback on offer at TCS. This is the best way to understand what your shortcomings are, because if you do not understand your shortcomings when conducting your preparations, you will end up repeating the same mistakes at your real exam. So in order to avoid all these pitfalls, opt for the premium course to benefit from all additional resources which are intended to teach you theory and application, and at the same time, you'd understand what your shortcomings are. So the premium course is priced at £599, which can be paid in 2 installments of £299 each. Or if you opt to pay in full, you will save £100. If so, the price is just £499. So you can invest on your preferred course by clicking on either of these buttons. And all products are available until the 28th of February 2026, because in May 2026, everything, all study resources will be redeveloped focused on the new pre-seen document. All right. So having said that, I want to take you through the study plan which we have developed at TCS. So you can access the study plan within the same page. So according to the study plan, we are in week number 2 because we missed out on last week's webinar. As I mentioned at the inception of this webinar, I was supposed to conduct the first webinar last week, but I couldn't do so. So I've combined both the first and the second webinars within week number 2. So in week number 1, it was simply a matter of going through the OTQ theory recaps and reading the SCS familiarization kit. So you can do these steps within this week as well. So within this week, in week number 2, you are supposed to focus your attention towards understanding the pre-seen document. So you are supposed to dedicate something like 8 to 9 hours of study time this week. And after we are done with this webinar, you are supposed to watch the pre-seen analysis videos with the intention of gaining an in-depth understanding of the internals and externals of your chosen company. And once you have watched these videos, revise on your own by referring to the annotated pre-seen on your own, and also refer to the industry and financial analysis slides. So within this week, you are supposed to master the pre-seen document because, as I mentioned earlier, before you start preparations, it's essential that you gain a clear understanding of the internals and externals of cumulator. Otherwise, you are going to struggle a lot. So first things first, you need to know what happens within your industry. You need to know what happens within your company before you kickstart your mock attempts. So that's what you're supposed to achieve in week number 2. And from week 3 onwards, you are supposed to kickstart your mock attempts. So in week 3, you are supposed to dedicate 8 to 12 hours of study time. However, after we are done with webinar number 3, which is happening on the 13th of December, you can see that there's a 2-week gap between the 3rd and 4th webinars, because the 4th webinar is happening in the first week of Jan. So I've given you some time because we are all celebrating Christmas. So I've given you 2 weeks off. I'm not conducting any webinars or workshops in the 2 weeks after the 13th of December. So after attending the 3rd webinar, in which you'd learn answering and time management techniques, you are supposed to kickstart your mock attempts. So although I've mentioned that you are supposed to dedicate 12 hours of study time in week number 3, since you have a break until the 4th webinar commences, you have something like 2 weeks at your disposal. So within these 2 weeks, you are supposed to be done with the first 2 mock exams. So attempt, after learning answering and time management techniques, attempt mock number 1 via our exam platform. Practice the answering and time management techniques which we have learned via the webinar in a practical situation under exam conditions, and see whether you are in a position to implement the answering and time management techniques which you learned. Once you are done with mock number 1, then attempt mock number 2 again via the exam platform with the intention of practicing your answering and time management techniques under exam conditions. After doing so, focus your attention towards revision, and you should kickstart your revision by watching the 3 master classes which we have developed focused on mock number 2. So as I mentioned earlier, in each masterclass, we are teaching you the logic behind each answer, teaching you the conceptual elements covered within mock exam 2, and also teaching you application. So after attempting each mock exam, you are supposed to learn theory and application by watching these masterclasses. And once you have watched these masterclasses, your preparations or your revision should not stop there. Instead, you need to redevelop answer plans on your own, thereby testing your knowledge, testing whether you have gained something by watching the masterclasses. So I said that we have developed answer plans focused on each mock exam. So after watching each masterclass, go through TCS's answer plans and keep it aside and try to replicate or redevelop the answer plans on your own. Once you have developed your fresh answer plans, compare them to TCS's and see whether there are still shortcomings. You have to keep redeveloping answer plans over and over until you are satisfied about the fact that you are in a position to replicate TCS's answer plans. That is why we are not simply sharing the questions and the suggested answers with you. We have gone a step further and we are sharing the answer plans as well, because when you have to go through pages and pages of suggested answers, most students struggle to understand the logic behind each answer, struggle to understand what type of points are contained. Instead, when you go through the answer plans in a jiffy, you are in a position to understand what type of points appear within the answer, how the entire answer is structured, which is the best way to understand application. So just because you attempt the mocks, you are not going to pass this examination. Instead, you have to take steps to conduct your revision with the prime intention of improving your skill set. So when attempting mocks under exam conditions, you are trying to practice your answering and time management techniques. And when you are conducting revision, this is when you are taking steps to improve your knowledge levels. So practice your technicalities when attempting each mock under exam conditions, and improve your knowledge levels by watching masterclasses. After you have watched masterclasses, redevelop answer plans on your own until you are satisfied about the fact that you are capable of replicating TCS's answer plans. And if you structure your answers in a similar manner at your real examination, you are going to significantly improve your chances of passing. So similarly, in week number 4, you are supposed to focus your attention towards one single mock exam, which is mock number 3. So the study hours which you should dedicate is 8 to 9 hours in when you are attempting mock number 3. So in week number 4, you are supposed to attempt mock number 3 via the exam platform. As I mentioned earlier, the objective should be to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques, because in the 4th webinar, I'm going to teach you stress management techniques as well. So you are supposed to practice these 3 techniques, answering, time management, and stress management, when you are attempting the mock under exam conditions, and then learn theory, logic, and application by watching the master classes, and test whether you have gained something by watching the master classes by redeveloping your answer plans, which is the most important element of your preparatory process. And similarly, in week number in week number 5, you are supposed to focus your attention towards mastering mock number 4, and in week number 6, mock number 5, and week number 7, mock number 6. And in the 8th week, which is the exam week, you are supposed to attend the final workshop in which I'm going to share last minute tips with you. It's essential that you walk into the exam with a high level of confidence and positivity. And in the final week, in the 8th week, you are not supposed to attempt any mock exams. You are not supposed to watch any master classes or redevelop answer plans. The only thing which you should do is to refer to the answer plans of mocks 1 to 7. Okay, so in the final week, right before you walk into the exam, you are going through all the mocks, all 7 mocks, the answer plans of all 7 mocks. It's as if you are going through the entire syllabus one last time, and at the same time, you are reminding yourself about how to work in terms of application concerning each conceptual element. So you are not supposed to put in a lot of effort in the 8th week in order to be in a position in which you are not putting a lot of effort. Instead, you are relaxing. You are supposed to stick to this study plan religiously, because if you do so, you are not supposed to do too much on a weekly basis. You are simply supposed to dedicate something like 8 to 9 hours of study time per week. And on a weekly basis, your real effort comes down to attempting each mock exam and redeveloping answer plans. Everything else is handled by us. And if you do so, if you stick to the study plan, in the 8th week or the final week, you will be relaxing when all the other students are scrambling for time, and when all the other students are trying to do everything under the sun, when they are trying to attempt mock exams, go through suggested answers, come up with study summaries and whatnot. You have completed all these things well before the examination. So it's essential that you are relaxed before the exam, because as I mentioned earlier, the examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So it's as if you are walking into office on a Monday. So if you have to function properly on a Monday, you have to be well rested towards the weekend. So if you were up till late, if you are stressed, and if you are not getting good sleep, and if you are not having your meals on time, then are you in a position to function properly on a Monday? You will definitely fall asleep on Monday when operating in a real life corporate environment. So in order to be successful in this exam, you need to think about the physical and mental preparedness as well. So that is why I'm asking you to stick to the study plan and start relaxing towards the last week, because when you are relaxed before the exam, you will be relaxed at your exam as well. So although I ask you guys to stick to this type of a study plan, most students don't do so, unfortunately. They start their preparations just 2 or 3 weeks before the examination. Yes, you can attempt all mock exams when you start preparations just 2 or 3 weeks before the exam. However, you won't have time to conduct your revision, which is the most crucial element of preparations. As I mentioned earlier, just because you attempt all mocks, you are not going to pass this exam, because when attempting mocks, you are trying to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. However, in terms of ensuring that you are developing high quality answers, you are supposed to focus your attention towards revision. And then in order to conduct revision, you are supposed to watch 15 master classes and redevelop answer plans once you have watched master classes focused on each and every mock exam. So this is the most important element of your preparations. So if you wait until the last moment, you will have time to practice mocks, but you won't have time to improve your knowledge by conducting revision. So that's why it's essential that you stick to the study plan. If you do so, you will be relaxing towards the final week. So in the final week, when all other students are trying to attempt mocks, go through answers and whatnot, you are not stressed, given the fact that we have done all these things previously. So in the final week, you are simply supposed to refer to the answer plans of all mock exams, thereby making sure that you are going through each conceptual element. You are revising how to work with application, and you are supposed to reread the annotated pre-scene one last time, thereby again reminding yourself about the most important points highlighted within the pre-scene. And you are supposed to stop preparations a day prior to the exam, sleep, eat, and rest well. So if your exam is on the 20th, you have to stop all your preparations at least by the 18th. Take the 19th off, because it's essential that you relax. It's essential that you're calm and composed, because as I mentioned earlier, if you're calm and composed, you will be calm and composed at your real exam. So when dealing with students, what I've experienced is the fact that however much prepared they are, still due to fatigue and anxiousness or stress levels, there's a tendency for students to go through study material right before the exam. So if you have attempted a CIMA exam at an examination center, you know what I'm talking about. So there are students who'd walk into the examination center before, let's assume the exam is scheduled for 9 a.m. They will arrive at the examination center at 8 a.m. And from 8 to 8:45 a.m., they will start going through mock exams. They will start discussing with other students. They will try to go through suggested answers and try to predict what can be tested at the exam. So you are not supposed to do all these things if you are to pass this exam, because if you are to pass this exam, you are supposed to be calm and composed, because when you're calm and composed, you will develop answers which are totally aligned with each requirement. Because when you're calm and composed, you'd enjoy a greater level of open-mindedness, and this greater level of open-mindedness will lead to rational decision making. So there's absolutely no point of being stressed. That's why I want you guys to stop preparations a day or two prior to your examination. So if you stick to the study plan, you can stop your work ideally 2 days before the exam, rest well, spend time with your loved ones, watch a movie. If you're into painting or whatnot, do a painting. You have to take steps to relax yourself, because if you're relaxed, you will come up with the best type of decisions. That's exactly what happens in a real life corporate environment. So it's essential that you're relaxed. If you're relaxed, you will come up with the best type of decisions, given the fact that you are open-minded. When you are open-minded, you are involved with rational decision making. So the most rational type of decisions will ensure that you pass this examination. So in order to achieve this state, in order to successfully pass this exam in just one sitting, stick to the study plan. If you do so, you will have enough time to conduct your preparations, which includes revision. And at the same time, you will have enough time to take steps to improve your skill set and avoid any shortcomings or hiccups you encounter when attempting each mock exam. Because in these weeks leading up to the exam, just gathering knowledge should not be your objective. You should have also carry the objective of making sure that you improve your decision making capabilities. Because you improve your decision making capabilities, you are in a position to do your job in the most successful manner as a senior finance manager. And if so, you'd end up passing this exam. And after passing this exam, when you are operating in office, you will function better than someone else, because you have improved your decision making capabilities. And at the same time, most students, 40% of the students in UK, after completing CIMA, they start their own business. And when you start your own business, the best performance are the type of individuals, entrepreneurs, who are thinking in a totally different manner. So that's exactly what is tested at this examination. So across these weeks, improve your skill set, improve your answering time management and stress management techniques. Across these weeks, improve your knowledge levels by watching master classes and redeveloping answer plans. If you do so, you'd learn all conceptual elements, and at the same time, you'd improve your application skills. If you do so, in the exam week, which is the 8th week, simply focus your attention towards going through the answer plans, rereading the annotated pre-scene, and taking a break a day or two before your exam. I hope you will stick to the study plan in this coming week. So as per the study plan, in this week, you are supposed to focus your attention towards the pre-scene. So watch the pre-scene analysis videos, read the annotated pre-scene on your own, and refer to the industry and financial analysis slides before we in week number 3, before you learn answering and time management techniques, because things become real serious from week 3 onwards. All right, so that's the study plan. Having said that, I'm going to direct your attention towards a pre-scene analysis. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to take you through the entire pre-scene. Instead, because I've already conducted the pre-scene analysis previously, so this is the same case study which is relevant for November and February 2026 sittings. So you can see that under the videos tab, the recorded version of the second webinar is available. So I've already conducted a pre-scene analysis focused on November 2025. So it's the same pre-scene. So please go watch the recorded version, which can be accessed via our student dashboard as well as via our YouTube handle. So I'm going to keep things simple when conducting this pre-scene analysis. So first things first, I want to direct your attention towards the internals of your chosen company. So all these things are about the industry. So you can easily gain an understanding of what your industry is all about, because we have summarized all the information, thereby coming up with these tutor annotations. So although this pre-scene document goes on for 25 or 30 pages, 25 to 30 pages, you need not worry about all these technical nitty-gritties, because everything is summarized as per TCS's tutor annotations. So there's information about your company which contains general information, thereby explaining what the company has gone through in the past 73 years, and all this information appears in here. And there's an indication about the product range as well. We produce 4 main categories of battery electric vehicles: Tiny, Trap, TwistX, and Scotch. So the Tiny is a small BEV focused on affordability, and Trap is a small BEV, but it comes with sporty performance, and it has some additional functionalities compared to Tiny, and TwistX is an SUV, state utility vehicle, and Scorch is our sports car or the sports range. And there's an indication about our reputation, which is based on build quality and innovation. And each of our models are in the top 3 range in terms of quality and innovation, which gives us an indication of the market standing of our company. Our company is well loved by customers, and there's a warranty in terms of how we provide services and whatnot concerning our vehicles. I'm not going to take you through all this information because I've already covered them in the pre-scene analysis videos and in the second webinar, pre-scene analysis webinar, which I conducted focused on November 2025 exams. And our cars come with trim levels, various different trim levels as well, which are base, Lux, and Grande Lux. So the base is the cheapest model. So let's assume you are purchasing a Tiny vehicle. So this Tiny vehicle comes with, 3 trims: a base trim, a Lux trim, and a Grande Lux trim. So the base trim is the cheapest car model, and there aren't a lot of added functionalities. When it comes to Lux, the company is trying to offer better quality, and some additional features are included on top of what you'd see in the base trim. And looking at the Grande Lux trim level, we are offering superior quality and features, and the Grande Lux trim level is focused on high income earning customers who are not too concerned about how much they are paying to purchase a vehicle. Instead, they are concerned about the quality and features. All right. And then there's an indication about the type of factories which are located in 4 different countries. We have 6 different factories which are located in 4 different countries. So as you can see, 2 are based in Duxland, which is our home country. And the battery manufacturing arm is located within Eastland. Electric motors are manufactured in Farland. Trap cars are manufactured in Wenland. And Tiny cars are manufactured in Groveland. So you can see that we are a multinational organization. So we are not just selling our vehicles to hordes of customers across the world. We are conducting our manufacturing operations by locating ourselves within 4 different countries. So all this information is given in here, and the type of relationships we have with dealerships, because as you should already know, we are not selling directly to customers. So we are not involved with B2C sales. Instead, we are involved with B2B sales. So we drive sales via car dealerships. That's how this industry works. You won't find any major car manufacturer selling directly to customers. Instead, they rely on dealerships in most occasions. That's exactly what Cumulator goes through as well. So we are selling through dealerships, and we are selling our vehicles globally via 4,600 dealerships, which are independent businesses. And based on all this information, I've highlighted probable exam scenarios which can be tested at the exam. And aligned with these probable exam scenarios, I've highlighted probable exam areas or syllabus areas which can be tested as well. So considering all this information, considering the fact that we are a multinational manufacturer and seller, we are exposed to various different risks such as political, economic, and country risk. Because as I mentioned earlier, we are we are manufacturing in 4 different countries, and we are selling across the world. Therefore, we are exposed to political risk, economic risk, as well as country risks. And we are also exposed to foreign exchange risks, given the fact that we are dealing with various different countries. And we are also exposed to operational risks when conducting manufacturing and sales operations. And we are exposed to reputation risk as well, given the fact that we are reliant on hordes of stakeholders. If one single stakeholder commits a mistake, it will impact our reputation in an adverse manner. And we are reliant on dealerships. And again, if any of the dealerships do not offer the required level of service to customers, it will impact our reputation adversely. And we are also dependent on key resources which are utilized to manufacture, especially the batteries which are used in battery electric vehicles. So there's a resource dependency risk, especially concerning commodities such as lithium, cobalt, and nickel, which are utilized to manufacture our batteries. And on top of that, we are exposed to legal and compliance risk, given the fact that we are operating in various different countries, which operate with various different legislation. So we have to make sure that we fall in line with this international legislation when operating as a multinational. So this exposes us to legal and compliance risk. And not just identifying these risks will be tested at your exam. You should have the capability of managing each type of these risks as well. And also, you should have the capability of evaluating mergers and acquisitions, or pursuing vertical integration concerning the way in which we operate at the moment, and concerning how it will impact the industry dynamics and the stakeholders who are part and parcel of our industry. And tied to these scenarios, the syllabus areas which can be tested are tied to risk identification and management, which is covered within your P3 syllabus. So you should have an understanding of reading through each scenario, and therefore identify the type of risks which we are exposed to. After identifying each type of risk, you should have the capability of stipulating appropriate mitigatory strategies. And also, you should have the capability of evaluating a merger or an acquisition, or whenever we are pursuing some type of vertical integration, you should have the capability to evaluate it. And since we are exposed to political, economic, and country risk, your knowledge concerning Porter's diamond, which is contained within your E3 syllabus, can be tested. And when conducting our operations, both manufacturing, especially concerning manufacturing operations, we have to uphold sustainability and ethics. So these two elements will be tested at your exam. And also, when pursuing a merger or an acquisition or a vertical integration, you should have the capability of conducting competitor analysis. So your knowledge concerning ways in which competitor analysis should be conducted, what type of angles we need to consider when evaluating competitors, will be tested at your examination. All right. So then, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this webinar, there's an indication of the mission, vision, and values of your chosen company. So you should know these things really well, and focused on the current mission, vision, and values of your chosen company. I've conducted an overall analysis, and when doing so, most importantly, I've highlighted shortcomings concerning our mission, vision, and values. There's no mention about various different stakeholders we deal with at the moment within our vision, mission, and values. There's no indication about how we are supposed to treat our shareholders, dealerships, employees, suppliers, regulators, and how to deal with the general public. So these are major shortcomings. It's essential if you look at a successful company. In the mission, vision, or values, there is an indication of the most important type of stakeholders the company deals with, so that the decision makers, when we include them, inculcate them within the mission, vision, or values, then the decision makers are forced to focus their attention towards satisfying the most important stakeholders we are dealing with when running our business. And there is no indication of safety and reliability. As a manufacturer, we have to ensure the safety and reliability of those who are working within factories. And at the same time, we have to ensure the safety and reliability concerning the needs of customers. So this is not appearing within our current vision, mission, and values. And there's no mention about collaborations, because we are collaborating with various different stakeholders as a multinational company. So we are dealing with suppliers of commodities, suppliers of components, and logistics providers. So it would have been better to think about these collaborations and mention the importance of these collaborations in the vision, mission, and value statements of our company. And also, I think that our sustainability claims are overstated, given the fact that our batteries degrade beyond 8 years, and there's emissions tied to lithium mining and transportation, and our key components, which are used to manufacture our vehicles, cannot be recycled easily, especially if you look at the batteries. If you want to replace a battery within battery electric vehicle, it is going to be a costly affair. because the entire vehicle is built on the battery. So if you have to replace the battery, you would have to disintegrate the entire vehicle and replace it. Therefore, most companies do not give the opportunity to get the batteries replaced, because it makes absolutely no financial sense. So given these facts, once a battery electric vehicle's battery degrades after 8 to 10 years, you have to throw away the battery, throw away the entire car. You cannot see this when dealing with ICE vehicles or vehicles which come with internal combustion engines, or vehicles which are petrol or diesel powered, because if you maintain your vehicle, you can use it for 50 odd years if you want. You can replace the parts and whatnot, but when you look at battery electric vehicles, you cannot replace the battery. So because of that, it goes to landfill after 8 to 10 years. So although we are trying to be sustainable, it raises the question as to whether we are actually achieving real sustainability when we are manufacturing a product which goes to landfill in 8 to 10 years. All right, so focused on these things, the probable exam scenarios which can be tested are to evaluate strategic options considering the mission, vision, and values, as well as vision, mission, and values of your chosen company. And also, similarly, you are supposed to utilize the SAF framework, which I explained at the very beginning of this session. And also, you be prepared to recommend internal controls in relation to achieving quality and sustainability in operations, achieving innovation, safety, risk management, and conducting our business practices in the most ethical manner, and managing stakeholders. All right, and looking at the board of directors, they come with they come from various different backgrounds or expertise. So I've highlighted their expertise, and although this is the case, there's an imbalance between the executive directors and independent non-executive directors as per corporate governance based practices which are practiced in the UK. There should be a good balance between executive directors and non-executive directors, but you can't see this within your chosen company. There are 5 execs and just 4 independent non-executive directors, which exposes us to governance risk. And focused on these things, I've conducted an overall analysis, thereby highlighting shortcomings as well as solutions to overcome each of these shortcomings. All right, so I'm not going to take you through all these shortcomings because I've already covered them in the preceding analysis videos. I simply intend to direct your attention towards one single shortcoming to give you a gist of how your knowledge can be tested at this exam. So we lack a CIO or a CTO, a Chief Information Officer or a Chief Technology Officer, which exposes us to cybersecurity risks because we are gathering a lot of data via our vehicles, because we are manufacturing connected cars. We are gathering a lot of data and holding on to this data within our data dumps. And this, when we don't have appropriate leadership to ensure cybersecurity, it exposes us to data security and data privacy risks. And also, we are in the future, we might integrate new software within our vehicles. And also, EV specific regulations are ever changing as per what's highlighted within the news articles. So in order to be successful, whenever the law changes, we have to change our internal dynamics. So if we are to change our internal dynamics in the most successful manner, it's essential that we have someone who comes from an ITIS background to spearhead all these initiatives. So we lack a CIO or a CTO at the moment. So at the exam, definitely your knowledge concerning the appointment of a CIO or a CTO, it could be an executive role, it could be a non-executive role, or it could be in terms of appointing a separate board committee. All these 3 angles can be tested at the exam. You need not worry. All these 3 angles are covered within our mock exams. So I've highlighted the solutions, and aligned with these solutions, I've highlighted the probable exam scenarios which can be tested. And looking at board responsibilities, you can see how our board is structured. And most importantly, you need to gain an understanding about the board committees. We have 4 different board committees. I'm not too satisfied with the risk and CSR committee, because this committee is supposed to look at both risk as well as corporate social responsibility. So as you know, we are trying to achieve sustainability. And if we are to achieve real sustainability, we should not stop at CSR, because CSR's next step is sustainability. So we do not have a separate board member who is looking into sustainability initiatives. Yes, the research and development director is looking into sustainability, but since we believe in sustainability so much, I think it's better if we have a separate director who has the prime responsibility of achieving sustainability. Either we have to appoint a separate executive or a non-executive director to look into sustainability solely, or we'd have to appoint a separate board committee and name it the sustainability committee, rather than asking the risk committee to look at CSR initiatives, because I feel that CSR is not real sustainability. If we are to achieve real sustainability, we have to transcend CSR. So that's why I feel that it's better to appoint a separate committee. If not, I feel that the members of the risk and CSR committee are overburdened with work. And when they are overburdened with work, their effectiveness, or the effectiveness of this committee, will definitely decrease. So that's exactly what I've highlighted in here. And there are certain shortcomings as well. For instance, the non-executive chair should not be part and parcel of the audit committee. But if you look at how we have the composition of our committees, the non-executive chair sits at the audit committee, which should not be the case as per the combined code of corporate governance, which is practiced in the UK. And most importantly, I wanted to direct your attention towards the risk report. So as I mentioned earlier, there are 6 different risks which appear within Cumulator's risk report. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 risks. And on top of that, the examiner has highlighted the type of mitigatory strategies the company has adopted with the intention of managing each type of these 6 risks. So first things first, you need to get an understanding of whether the company has identified all different risks we are exposed to when operating within this industry. That is not the case if you look at the risk report. And on top of that, secondly, you should consider whether the board has come up with appropriate mitigatory strategies to manage each type of risk which appears within the principal risk report. So that is why I've conducted a separate analysis focused on each type of risk which appears within the risk report. So I want to direct your attention towards the second risk. So the risk is the fact that battery electric vehicle attractiveness may be undermined by poor charging infrastructure or better alternatives emerging. So poor charging infrastructure will drive the demand for battery electric vehicles down. If the demand is down, it is not good for us, a battery electric vehicle manufacturer. Or if better alternatives come up again, the demand for battery electric vehicles will be impacted negatively. So the mitigation strategies adopted by the company currently is to collaborate with regulators and charging providers and to promote battery electric vehicles and as clean and sustainable solutions. So based on the current mitigatory strategies adopted by the company, I've conducted an assessment. So the current mitigation strategies show proactive external engagement. We are trying to engage with regulators, charging providers, and customers with the intention of managing this risk exposure. However, there is no reference to proprietary or in-house infrastructure support. So due to poor charging infrastructure or better alternatives emerging, the demand for battery electric vehicles are deemed to decrease in the future. So if we are to insulate us against this risk, just dealing with or collaborating with regulators, charging providers, and customers won't help. Instead, we have to take active steps to ensure that we fulfill this need in the market. If we do so, customers won't think twice before purchasing a battery electric vehicle. So therefore, we have to explore strategic partnerships or joint ventures or opt for mergers and acquisitions with charging network operators. So definitely this is going to be tested at your exam, given the fact that this risk is highlighted within your risk report, given the fact that the current mitigation strategies are not too successful. They appear to be reactive rather than being proactive. So proaction will be tested, or your capability to suggest proactive risk mitigation strategies to overcome this risk will be tested at the examination. So you should have the capability of exploring strategic partnerships or joint ventures or mergers and acquisitions in which we are trying to merge with a charging network operator, or we are trying to acquire a charging network operator, or opt for a joint venture, or we can on our own set up our own set of charging networks as well, thereby opting for organic growth. So you should have the capability of evaluating, pursuing organic as well as inorganic growth with the intention of managing this risk exposure and ensuring that we are fulfilling the needs, or we are addressing the needs of customers within this industry. And also we can consider launching a accumulator branded app, thereby mapping charging locations and offer route planning along with 24/7 EV specialist roadside assistance to make sure that customers start believing in the vehicles which we are manufacturing and selling. By providing these type of additional support, we can ensure that the demand for battery electric vehicles, especially accumulator vehicles, will be up in the future. So as you can see, I've evaluated each type of risk in this document as part of the annotated pre-scene itself. And after conducting an assessment, I've suggested enhancements so that you'd gain an in-depth understanding of the risk management initiatives adopted by the company presently. And similarly, I said that certain risks which should have appeared within your risk report have been avoided. So I've considered the notable gaps. So I'm going to direct your attention towards one type of risk which we should have considered within our existing risk report. So there's no mention about cybersecurity and data privacy risk. Our cars are equipped with advanced software systems, and also via our vehicles and various different companion apps, we are collecting a wide range of data. So given the fact that we are gathering a lot of data, given the fact that our vehicles, the functionality of our vehicles depend on advanced software systems, it's essential that we take steps to avoid our cybersecurity and data privacy risk exposure. So why it matters is the fact that a data breach could lead to vehicle control issues or customer data exposure. Our vehicles run on advanced software systems. So if someone breaches this system, our vehicles might come to a grinding halt when they are being driven, which exposes customers to accidents and safety issues. And also, on top of that, not just operational elements will be impacted. If someone breaches our data dumps or our database management systems, then customers' private data might leak into the public domain, which exposes us to data privacy issues. And also, if we are exposed to an OTA update failure, this could cause mass vehicle recalls or reputational damage. And this risk also exposes us to privacy breaches concerning the fact that we are operating across the world. We are supposed to fall in line with various different regulations practiced within each of the countries in which we operate. And if we do not fall in line with these rules and regulations, this exposes us to reputational risks. So with the intention of avoiding these risks, I've recommended the fact that we should appoint a chief information security officer or include cybersecurity and privacy oversight in risk and CSR committee. And also we should perform regular penetration testing and data encryption audits to see whether our data is safeguarded, whether our systems are safeguarded. And also it's essential that we require supplier security and privacy attestations to see whether our internal controls are functioning properly, whether there are any hiccups. If and when we identify any issues, we can update or upgrade our internal controls, which are supposed to prevent our exposure to cybersecurity and data privacy issues. So there's no mention about cybersecurity and data privacy within the 6 risks identified within the risk report. So you should not just have the capability of evaluating the 6 different risks which appear within the risk report, you should, as a senior finance manager, also have the capability of identifying any shortcomings concerning the information highlighted within the risk report. And there's a connection between all this information with the news article. So I'm going to explain what this connection is all about. One of the news articles are based on local government's reluctance to commit to the installation of public EV charging points. So this news article highlights information about local governments being reluctant to install public EV charging points, and this impacts customer demand in an adverse manner. So this news article is aligned with what's highlighted within the risk report as give me a second, please, as the second risk. So changing consumer preferences are driven by poor charging infrastructure. So that's exactly what's highlighted within this news article, because local governments are not too keen to set up charging points because it's expensive. So based on it, I've considered probable exam scenarios in which there could be a situation where we are going to set up charging points. We might set up charging points on our own, thereby opting for organic development, or we can go down the route of inorganic development, which comes with two different options. We can go for a merger or an acquisition of an existing charging infrastructure services provider, or we can go for a PPP arrangement or a private-public partnership arrangement in which we partner up with local governments with the intention of setting up charging infrastructure. If we do so, we are in a position to avoid this second risk or insulate us against the second risk, which appears within the risk report. And also, when going down this route, we'd have to lobby with local governments, and when doing so, we have to do it in an ethical manner. And also, we have to think in terms of the risks and the type of stakeholder issues we might have to face, especially if we pursue inorganic development. So tied to these exam scenarios, the syllabus areas can be tested, which can be tested tied to your knowledge concerning the SA framework. If there's a question tied to ethics, your knowledge concerning the COPPI framework or the CIMA ethical standards will be tested. And when dealing with stakeholders, you are supposed to, with the intention of managing these stakeholders in the most effective manner, you are supposed to utilize your knowledge concerning the Mendelow's matrix. And whenever we are exposed to some type of a risk, you should know how it might impact our share price and what we should do to avoid a drop in share price. And also your knowledge concerning risk identification and mitigation in terms of the type of operational risks we might be exposed to when setting up charging infrastructure, reputational risk if something goes wrong, and to mitigate each type of risk, utilizing the TARA or the TARA framework will be tested. And you should also have the capability to update the risk register. There's a way in which a company is supposed to update the risk register, and also suggesting internal controls when we have set up charging infrastructure. We have to ensure quality and customer service. So with these things in mind, you are supposed to suggest internal controls as well. So that's what I wanted to highlight when conducting the pre-scene analysis. So similarly, I've evaluated the other elements as well. If you go through the pre-scene, the third pre-scene analysis video, you'd understand the numbers properly. And when you go through the financial analysis slides, you'd gain a better understanding of all these numbers. You need not do the computations on your own. We have done it for you, as you can see in here. And on top of that, there's a sustainability report as well. So similarly, similar to how I've evaluated the risk report, I've highlighted the strengths and weaknesses of the sustainability report as well, as you can see in here. And at the very end, you'd see information concerning share price history and the beta. I said that there's a connection between the share price and beta. Everything is highlighted in here. And at the very end, you'd see the news article. So I've summarized all information in an easily understandable manner. And on top of that, I've highlighted the syllabus areas which can be tested tied to each and every news article. So that's what your pre-scene is all about. So after this webinar, invest on your preferred course and start your preparations by watching the pre-scene analysis videos. If you do so, you'd gain an in-depth understanding of what you are supposed to achieve at your exam. All right. So having said that, I'm happy to say that we achieved a 91% pass rate in the SCS exams, which happened in August. So the highest scorer ended up scoring 120 odd marks, 121 if I'm not mistaken. Having said that, if you have any questions, you can switch on your mic and talk, or drop us a message via the chat so that I can address all your concerns. Did you gain a good understanding of what your exam is all about, and how you should approach your pre-scene document, and how you should approach your studies in the upcoming weeks? Any questions, folks? Anushka is saying, thank you for conducting. Okay, you're welcome. Any questions? Sally is asking a question. Did you say your second webinar is now self-view? Yes, because as per our study plan, we were expected to, conduct the second webinar this week, but I missed last week's webinar. So I actually combined both webinars together. But so because of that, given a lack of time, I had to, rush through the entire pre-scene. But please go watch the recorded version of last session's webinar, which is based on the same pre-scene, so that you'd gain an understanding of how to approach the pre-scene in a proper manner. Another individual is asking, will the study plan be shared on the WhatsApp group? Yes, I will share it. Samit is asking a question. Thank you very much. You are welcome. Please share the material. Well, Samit, I won't be sharing all the material which I showed with you, because most of them come with the paid versions, but everything else which is contained within the free packages can be downloaded and accessed via the student dashboard by creating a free user account. Pamela is asking a question, will this recording be shared? Yes, this will be accessible via our student dashboard and our YouTube handle. Anything else, folks? Yes, Sally, you have Sally, you have asked a question, is it? What if I'm unsuccessful in February and no access to the new material? So, Sally, as you know, this case study, which is this case study is relevant to two sittings. Sittings which happen in November, as well as the session which is happening in February 2026. But the case study which is relevant for May 2026 will be totally different. So because of that, we are forced to redevelop all the mock exams and along with it all study resources from scratch. So, you won't have access to the same material beyond February 2026. You will have access to new material in the next sitting. And as you would have seen, this premium course used to be £749. We have given you a significant discount, given the fact that if you invest now, you will only have access to this course in just one sitting. That is why we have offered a significant discount. The price is just £499, as opposed to it being £749 if you opted to pay in full. Okay, I hope I addressed your concern. And no access to new material, Sally. Okay, Stan is asking a question. The session was informative. Glad to hear this. More questions will come up when the with time as we go through the materials. Yes, definitely. So simply, this week is going to be quite easy, because it's simply a matter of going through the pre-scene and watching the pre-scene analysis videos. Next week onwards, things are going to get tough. So as you have mentioned, definitely you'd have questions, but don't worry, we are conducting a weekly class. So you can get your questions addressed in each of these weekly webinars and workshops. I hope I addressed your concern. Anything else, folks? Anushka is asking a question. Can you please reshare the link to the last webinar? Yeah, definitely I will. Anushka, I don't know whether you are part of the WhatsApp group. If you are, then after this session, I will share the link with you. All right, seems like there aren't any questions, so I'm going to move to the last part. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Simply visit our website and click on the contact button and drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email during office hours, or you can directly email us at info@study@tcs.com. Or if you opt for, if you want instantaneous support, simply drop us a message via this WhatsApp number. And I urge you to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of each of the weekly webinars and workshops will be uploaded to our YouTube handle. And via TikTok, you'd gain access to a good pre-seen mind map. There are 6 videos. So watch these 6 videos on a daily basis, for instance, on your way to office, to constantly keep yourself reminded of the most important points highlighted within your pre-seen. Also, I will be sharing this document with you. This is which is a good pre-seen mind map, which summarizes the entire pre-seen. So go through this document on your own as well, to constantly keep yourself reminded of what appears within your pre-seen document. And having said that, the concluding thought is to approach SCS as an opportunity to learn rather than an exam to pass, especially given the fact that your decision-making capabilities, your application skills are tested at this exam. So think in a practical manner. Your objective should be to significantly improve your knowledge levels and decision-making capabilities rather than trying to approach this just like a typical academic qualification or an academic exam. All right. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the first masterclass. I hope you gained something out of this session. So I wish you the best of luck when conducting your preparations in the upcoming weeks. I hope you will join each of our webinars and workshops, which are conducted free of charge. I hope you will stick to our study plan. And as per the study plan, I hope before you attend next week's answering and time management technique webinar, I hope you will be done with watching the pre-seen analysis videos and going through the annotated pre-seen, the industry and financial analysis slides on your own. So thank you very much for joining. I'll see you guys next week at 10 a.m. UK or 10 GMT, in which I'm going to teach you crucial answering and time management techniques. Thank you for joining. I'll see you guys next week.